Morning guys, so welcome back to NZ Outlaw Kustoms again. So I wasn't meant to be here this morning. I was meant to go and see my cousin that's pretty crook. I don't know how much longer he's got to go, but he won't be here. I wouldn't imagine he's going to be here by Christmas sort of thing. Hard to say. But he's going downhill. He's had two operations in his head to remove. Brain tumour to give him extra time. They can't get rid of it all. They managed to get about 60% of what was in his head this last operation, which was a few weeks ago now. So I was hoping to go see him this weekend, but just with the amount of people obviously wanting to go see him, it just wasn't quite going to work for them. There's going to be too many people, so there's quite a few people going to see him the weekend after, so we're going to go in a couple of weekends' time and get to go see him, because I haven't seen him for a while. I haven't really seen him since almost this time last year. Just about. It hasn't worked, and he's been, with chemotherapy and all that sort of stuff, trying to help things. It just hadn't been, just either wasn't going to work for us or it wasn't going to work for them, or he was doing treatment and crook and all those sorts of things. So yeah, it just hasn't worked. But anyway, I'm going to get this tray finished. I'm going to spray down the side of that with the texture coat, which I've got on here now. I just threw it back in here this morning to make sure, because I did put a bit of texture coat on the outer edge against the wood. I thought may as well, just to give it a bit extra protection. So I'll obviously want to give it a couple of coats of paint. I'm just going to paint it with just some rattle can stuff, mainly because it's going to get bashed about and knocked about. By the time you put a few tools in there or whatever, it's going to eventually get scratched. That's why I put the Stone Guard anti-chip bed liner sort of type coating in there, just to make it last a bit longer, and obviously just it'll help deaden it a bit so it's not quite so noisy, all those sorts of things. So if it's just paint with some rattle can, if it does happen to get scratched up and pretty torn up at some point, you come along with it with a rattle can, pop it out, give it another coat of paint, and it's tidy again, if you know what I mean. But most things you're probably going to be sitting there, probably put a bit of carpet or something in there anyway, or something down the bottom, so it's not going to get knocked around too much. But it will suffer wear a lot faster than anything else with having stuff in there. And the same with the back one. So you want to texture coat the bottom of it, because it didn't get that. Obviously, with it takes a couple of coats in here, and the top takes a while to dry. So I can get that today. This morning I got 4 hours roughly, and I'll try and get the back one reinforced up and welded up in the corners, and then maybe get that coated as well. And I want to, if I can, I'll get some paint on the inside of this anyway, just with the rattle can. So that's kind of the plan today. We've got some aluminium coming. Just been waiting on that. It's like everything at the moment with this stupid, with hopefully the tail end of this pandemic crap. We'll just hopefully we'll be waiting on supplies. So we've got some aluminium strips and sheeting and that coming to go around these boards and for the floor, to finalise that sort of stuff, and then I can get that finished. I've got to get some screws and bits and pieces for the toe board area. I've still got to finish making that. So I sort of made this, and then I was making the back seat area, and then I've jumped into this. So yeah, we'll just get these floor stuff finished, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's just dialed in, and then once we've got the raining gear in, I can put this in permanently. So yeah, just trying to get it all sorted so it's ready to go in. The last step. This will probably be the last stuff to go in, if you know what I mean. That some point with upholstery and all that sort of stuff. So I'll get this texture coated, that'll give it some time to dry, then hopefully I'll get some paint in there, and while I'm doing that I'll get the that back toolbox tray finalised, I guess. Right, I've given that a fairly good heavy coat in the bottom because that's the bit that's probably going to take the punishment from underneath, so that should be pretty good. Be nice and protected from just stones and rocks and whatever else that may bounce up underneath there, get flung up there, so that should be pretty good now. We'll let that dry off and pull the bottom piece out and we'll start sorting some strengthening up. Righty, on here, you can't really see my head, but it doesn't really quite matter. More worried about here. On here, see the back one, this is hard forward, and that's seat opening. The backboard is here, so it's got this stupid gap here, which just goes straight down into nothing. But this can't go any further back because of the one of the braces in the chassis, so it sort of comes up against that, but it's got this gap, wood gap, because they haven't put a step in this or something, whatever. So what I'm thinking about doing, because I don't want that open gap there, down there, because you've got the board that runs around here, if you know what I mean. You can see that. So you've got this gap that's, I don't know, an inch and a bit long and probably about an inch deep or thereabouts, roughly. So what I'm thinking about doing is cutting this piece off, flattening it out, making it do the opposite, come up here and then being round, and filling this in when it comes up and meets all this, just to get rid of that hole. So it's tidier, neater, and it's less likely to get water or whatever. If it happens to be a wet day and you've got the top up and you've got the sides in, you don't want water, or even on you don't want water splashing up through here and then ending up in what's in your box, and all those sorts of things that could happen, if you know what I mean. When you're driving along the road, it happens to be wet or whatever, you don't want water coming up in through here, getting into the bottom of the seats and all those sorts of things. It's just, it doesn't make any sense why they left that open. And I'm going to fill these corners in, so I'm going to double this edge around here. So I'm going to run that right up to here and double it up, and so this is a square corner. So to make it stronger, so it's less likely to bend that up. And then when we flatten this out, I'll extend, I don't know how much of this I'll double up, but we'll beef it all up anyway, and we'll fill this gap in so that it's not open. It just doesn't make sense to me to have it like that. It's just silly, and it also means that because it's a little bit of a gap between this piece and the brace, it just means it can flop round in there. So if I bring it out here and then bring it up and then put the step on it up onto the wood, it means it's not likely to flop around in the hole, if you know what I mean, and rattle around. So I'm trying to eliminate that too, because that front one's now nice and tight in the thing, but it's not difficult to get out. If you've got the tools out of it and you give it a bump from underneath, you can grab it from one end and lift it out quite easily now. But it's in there tight, so it's not jiggling around, and and it's reasonably sealed up. Or like I'd like those corners together in the front, but the bolt hole's there, and I'll you don't want to have to undo a body bolt just to get that tray out. That's a bit ridiculous, so that's why I just left those corners open for all the difference it's going to make. But there's no bolt holes in amongst this, so I can close all this up and make it way better, way tidier, and then less likely to get water splashing up through here and all those sorts of stupid things. We're trying to eliminate that moisture getting on the inside of the body, even though it's open top. You know, you're going to get some water in there, but if it's not coming up from underneath, well, it's better again. So I think I'll whack this off and refold this piece. Basically, just instead of that way, it'll be that way, if you know what I mean. You're just doing the reverse of what this is with an extra bend in it. And then I'll weld that back on and then double brace it in here. So yeah, and then pull the ends in somehow. I think I'll do it around there anyway, at the bench. But I've still got to cut another strip off here, but I'll wait. I've got one cut and we'll get that around here, and then we'll work out exactly what I want to do for the next one, whether I'll make it a little bit deeper and then just chop a bit off it to suit this one, but to have it a little bit deeper to help strengthen this extra bigger piece up. So yeah, we'll do that. Right, I'm going to straighten that piece out, or flatten it out, and then bend it to what I want. So instead of being like that from the box, I'm going to flatten it out, and then step it up, and then do that, and then weld it back on there with an extra bracing behind it. No way messages. So if I'd pulled that 90 the first time and then try to get that other edge on, it'll be awkward. But if you just break it to about 45 and then flip it over and then do it and then come back, that's a damn sight easier. 6 years of practice. Especially with small measurements. You could even get small than that, like you could, even though that blade, it's not quite so easy in this because you haven't got the mechanical clamp. What I mean the mechanical clamp, like a hydraulic clamp or anything like that. because the folder I used to use had like a foot pedal for your hydraulic, for your clamp. So you'd sit there and you just tap it, a bit like using a TIG or something like that, just like that. Just tap it and it will just creep down, and you get it really, really close. And then when you're almost dead on, holding it with both hands, you know, getting your marks right, especially on a short piece, you can just, and it'll just clamp down like with freaking like 20 ton or 30 ton of force, and squash it. And then you can just kick it up a little bit, and then you can flip it over, and you could do like, so between here and that, yeah, it's a little bit over 3. It's not quite half an inch, but it's a little bit over 3/8 of an inch from the pinch point to the edge of the blade. So if you were to try and even do, say, half that, you can with a folder like that. If you just kick it and then flip it over and put your little piece in, and then kick it again, you might have to do it a couple of times until you get right. You mightn't have exactly 90, but you'll get it really close, and then you might better just hammer it from there. If you're doing like a long piece, little trick. Believe me, I doing 6 years making funny little crazy flashings and bits and pieces that people wanted for houses, and architecturally designed shit. Yeah, especially you're gonna make 100 of them. Yeah, you get good at working out funny little things like that. So for people that haven't used a folder a lot, or a sheet metal brake, or whatever you want to call that, that's a finger brake, but sheet metal brake, folder, bender, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, if you've got small measurements like that, yeah, just break it a little bit. If you're wanting a 90 on manning, or close to a 90, yeah, just break it a little bit, and you go for your little measurement. You want to do the same thing, just flip it over, or turn it around, or whatever, and break that a little bit too. Like, I'm talking like sort of 30 or 40 degrees, or a little bit more if you can get it, and then you'll get your next bend, and you can work it backwards and forwards until you get it roughly where you want it, if you know what I mean. And then you may have to just hammer that last little piece to dial it in if you want dead on 90 type sort of thing. But yeah, that works quite nice. Just a little trick. Grabbing the pieces. So yeah, because was almost as skinnier than the blade, that's why I did that like that, because it's a lot easier to get in. Whereas if you had broken at 90, you can't get it in. You got to try and force it in. But if you break it at 45, it means you can still, because it's not hard down, it means you can sort of like slip it in and on a very slight angle, clamp it, and then you can bend it up and towards, so you don't have to bend it up to get 90 there, and then you can tip it over and bring it back up again. Little tip for you if you're trying to do sheet metal work like that. So now I'll put that on there like that instead of how it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go sit that back on the awl and just make sure that is right. So basically I'll use this. Well, I probably won't use this piece, but I might use a different piece, because I might come back up here further for the next bit, if you know what I mean. I may even put, yeah, I don't know if I put that step in again, but I might just come back here further. I might get a little bit deeper and double that up. I'll use this around the rest of it, and then whatever I need for the other end, I'll just trim up after I've got this one on. But I'll also make it longer and try and cover back out to here so that hole's not visible. And yeah, I'll probably have to bring it into here and maybe cut it off or something. I don't know, we'll work something out. Be a little bit of playing around with this one, but at least it'll be a whole heap nicer than this dirty hole that was there. It didn't need to be there. Right. Yeah, that'll be. Bit awkward trying to get the camera in at a half decent angle. So the way it was before, as you would have seen, it would have come up here and then went across here. And I thought it's just silly because you got this, it leaves this gap open here. And it's, to me it was just annoying. So now it's going to be like that. Actually, I might have to refold that end because it's actually freaking high down there. I didn't actually realise it was so much higher. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that'll be welded on there like that. And I will fill this end in when I do the other bits. I'm going to have to revisit that. I'm going to have to alter that bend. It's not right, just because it's, when they put this in, this backboard, it's higher on that side than the other. Didn't realise. Even though I remade these pieces, like these are the same height. Like these pieces are the same height, but that board that runs across the back is higher at the back. I didn't actually take much notice, but I can fix that. It's alright. But yeah, I'll weld that on there like that, and that'll be a lot nicer, and then this won't move around either. Yeah, I actually need to trim that a little bit too. Bugger. I might just remake that piece. I'll cut another piece and I'll remake it, and then I can make it wider too. Yeah, because this is, yeah, I had a quick measure up of what was there because I marked it, but it's not right. I need to make it deeper to fit it in properly. I could flatten this out again, but we'll see what happens. I'll make it a little bit shorter. I made it 40 millimeters from here to there, but it needs to be a little bit shorter than that. Let's have a quick look at the other side. Not that you can see it. Yeah, it needs to be a little bit shorter than that. That's actually quite deep there. Yeah, I need to deepen the rise at this end and even at that end a little bit. Yeah, I might make a whole new piece and just get my measurements a bit more accurate. I might have to make a tapered one, a little bit tapered, because it's just the way they put that piece of wood in there. It's not even, unfortunately. But that's wood for you.
Jungle.
See if that fits a bit better. That's a bit over a bit now, isn't it? Sure, I'll fix that. See if that fits better.
That'd be good. That'd be good. It's not dead perfect, but we can trim it. We can do a little bit of trimming just to make things fit better. That'll be better. So I'm going to turn that into the brace for the back. Yeah, I'd sort of forgotten that when you do your measurements, you gain material when you bend, like you gain length, so you gotta allow for that. Because I haven't done it for 16 years, I suppose, 17 years. Sometimes you forget things. It's not until after you've done something you go, oh, that's right, yeah. So I'll flatten this off and I'll make this measurement here just a little bit shorter, so it allows for that and doesn't stick up so much. But that doesn't matter. I'll just get it done and come back to you. Righty, so that original piece I cut off there and bent up and then wasn't quite happy with it. I've made it so that it's the brace at the back. I just still need to clean up, obviously, and just put a bit of weld through primer in there. So I've got that kind of fitting where I want to, and it'll come right out basically to the back edge of here. So it'll be welded along here, and then when I weld that together, it'll weld the two together in here as well. I'll try and make sure that it'll penetrate right through, and then obviously get the back edge of it as well. So I need to clean this up, die grind it and spray a bit of weld through on it, and then yeah, put that on as well, and then I'll do the rest.
Great stuff. Weld through primer. If you're joining pieces of steel together and you know, you can't get back in the paint in between, something like that with a weld through primer. There's lots of different brands out there. There's a couple of coat ones and all sorts of stuff, but this is reasonably handy and it's fairly cheap and it's better than nothing in there. So that's what that weld through looks like when it's dry. I've already done that piece earlier when I gave it a quick clean up. And just, it allows you to weld through and it not burn away and then it rusts from in behind. Just gives it some protection. That's great when you're doing car stuff and bits and pieces and you get panels and stuff that you can't get back in between. Now if you're putting braces, you know, on the floors and all that sort of stuff, blow some weld through primer on there or put some sort of paint in there, but the edges that you're going to be against the steel, say if you've got say a bracket that comes along like that and then juts out and comes back in and there's a floor base that runs across your floor, at least put the weld through primer on the two surfaces that are going to meet, you know, paint whatever, tape it off, and at least when you weld through and plug weld or whatever weld the edges, that stuff doesn't burn away in between. Well, not much, if you know what I mean. That's basically the idea of it, and then it stops it, so if any moisture gets in there, it lasts a lot longer before it rots out and then breaks it apart. That's the idea of it. It's great stuff. Very handy. Anyway, so I'm basically prepped there. They should be almost dry. And I should be able to weld that on. Yeah, weld that one on, and then weld that one on. And we should be good then.
Is what it looks like through our everyday use welding hood that we use. This is a Harbor Freight hood. This is what it looks like through the new Yes Welder hood. You can see there is a major difference. This is our everyday use hood right here. This is a Harbor Freight hood that I've had for a couple of years. And this is the new Yes Welder hood that we got from Yes Welder. You can see there's a pretty big difference on the lens. This thing is just way more wide open, and you can see a lot more. It's a lot more clear looking through it. So far, we're really impressed with at least the look and the wide openness of the Yes Welder hood.
Righty, so I just ground that up and cleaned it up both sides. You know, just gave it a wee hammer on there just to flatten it out a little bit. It was a wee bit warped, understandably. But it doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to be covered in texture coat and it's underneath the seat. Still want it reasonable, but it's not too bad now. By the time you pour a heap of texture coat and everything on there, I'll probably come back in there and pull some of these welds up a little bit. Just some of the bad ones, but I'm not too panicked. And maybe on the same on the other side. I'll just turn the thing over. I think I'm about done for the day. It take me freaking most of the morning to get done there. We'll be back at it Monday now. So you're lucky, there's probably a few bits and pieces I could probably come along there and touch up with the welder. Just some of the worst spots, but by the time I've freaking given it a decent slather with some texture undercoat, it'll be fine. Again, it's not something you're looking at. It's now if it was an outside panel or something like that, where it was easily visible, and you were putting body filler or whatever over it, you know, or you were going to metal finish it where, you know, you'd spend a little time and make sure you were doing it properly, and I wouldn't have just keep welding from one end to the other. I would have jump around a bit. So on something like this, it's not critical, but that should be nice and strong now. I'll actually just test fit it to make sure it does fit properly, and then probably should have done it before I fully welded it. But oh well. But anyway, we'll give it a quick test fit, and then I think that'll be the end of the day. And then Monday I'll do the other bits around there and trim a bit off what I don't need and whatever. But yeah, that should be good. Thought I might have got a little bit further, but it takes a while to frickin' get all that welded up and cleaned up and ground off and screw around with it. It's amazing how long it takes. Right. So that fits in there reasonably well. It needs a bit of a, not being a bit harder at the back. It's just sitting up because I pushed it hard down, but fits in there. So we're just going to fill the rest in and clean it up, trim it up, and whatever. But that'll do for today. So yeah, at the moment, so thanks for watching. Thanks for the new subs. I think I hit 950 there this morning. So that sounds like the missus. So we'll catch you Monday. Morning, guys. So this is what it's like to look through my helmet. Very similar to what the boys at Iron Horse are. Very similar to what the boys at Iron has had, not are. God. Anyway. So yeah, so welcome back again to NZ Mopar Outlaw Customs. So halfway through this video, I've got to finish that rear tray shortly. I'm going to put another coat of paint on this other tray. I've done the bottom side of it before I left. On Saturday I didn't show that on video, but anyway, that doesn't quite matter. I should have thought about it just before I was about to leave, and I blew a quick heavy coat around it with a rattle can. But anyway, welding helmets. Man, I want one of those Yes Welder helmets. So this is the helmet that I'm using at the moment. You've probably seen it plenty. I think it's exactly the same as what the one that Dad's got, and I've got another older one that I bought in like 2011. Which is pretty average. So yeah, variation there or something. But anyway, I had one in Australia which was a Boss Safe, which was the same brand, but it was Boss Weld was the brand of welder I had in Australia, which I think is an Australian brand. I think it's an Australian brand, or it's made for Australia. And I think they are here in New Zealand, but I don't think I can get the helmet here. I'm not sure on that. But it had the big lens in it, and I think it was more blue than the green like that. It was more bluey. And it was good. It's better to look through than those ones. But it's nothing like that clear lens. Basically, it's like looking through that. From what I could see on that Iron Horse video. And Arco said he said he couldn't believe it when he first used that helmet. He said he's got other really good helmets that he said he won't even touch now, because he said you put one on and he's like, oh fuck, you just grab the Yes Welder and put it back on. Because he said it's so easy to see through, and he's noticed that before, when he was doing a lot of welding, if he say 80% of his day or 70% of his day was welding, he said his eyes were really tired and heavy by the time he'd finished welding, because when you're getting going, looking through those green lenses or similar, you're straining to see exactly what you're doing and where you're lined up, because they're not always the easiest to see through, depending on obviously your light. That's why a lot of people put lights on them and all sorts of things like that to get a wee bit more light there, so you can see a wee bit easier. And he said you're always that straining to get going, if you know what I mean. And once you're welding, it's probably not quite so bad, but like those bigger lenses and the slightly bluer lenses are a wee bit easier to look through. But even Arco said when you're welding, he said you almost feel like it's not on, but it's not bright. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's hard to sort of say, because the Iron Boys from Iron Horse tried to capture that with the phone too, but I think there's too much light coming back in around the helmet. It worked, but it didn't probably work quite as good. If you probably had a normal camera and it was hard up against that lens, it probably would have worked, so it wasn't any light seepage through. But they got the gist of it, if you know what I mean. But just the way they showed looking through the helmet, I mean, looking through the Yes-Welder was just a game changer. It really is. Yeah, and Arco said he's just, when he welds, yeah, a lot with that Yes-Welder helmet on it. He's not tired, his eyes aren't tired after it because you haven't been straining to see what you're doing. Now, he said you can turn around, pick up a piece of steel to put onto your job. You know, you've got part of it, you know, tacked together, welded together, and you want, okay, now I've got to put a gusset in there. You don't have to lift your helmet up, take your helmet off, get yourself tack. So you can just pick it up off the bench without lifting your helmet, get it set there because you can see so clearly, and tack, and away you go, and just start welding, you know. So you're not having to fluff around. He said if you're using a TIG, you know, you're looking for your piece of rod, and say you've got just out of the mild steel rod lying around, then you've got some fuller rod or whatever lying around that you're using on the job. He said you're not double checking what you're picking up because you can see it. It's clear. It's like normal looking. You can just, oh yeah, sweet, that's what I want. Away you go. Instead of pulling your helmet off or lifting your helmet up, oh yeah, no, I'm not grabbing the freaking mild steel rod that's beside it or near it. You know, you just grab your filler rod and away you go. He said it's so much easier. You know, you're not grabbing the wrong thing because you can't see through your lens very clearly. You know, you can see through them, but it's distinguishing between one thing and another. You know, if it's a similar sort of object, you know, a bit of filler rod or a bit of normal rod, or just even if it was say normal welding wire or something like that that you use for gas, you know, you might grab the wrong thing because it looks similar, but through that lens, because it's so clear, so you can just, yep, not sweet, and away you go. See, it's just so much different. It's just easy to look through. And I think if that's the difference that you can see on that clip that I threw in the video, if that is the difference, yeah, I think it's a bigger step than going from the old glass flip up thing they had years ago to an auto darkening. I think it's a bigger step than that, if you know what I mean. Probably not quite, but you know what I mean. It's a leap like that, or not bigger, you know, because it's so clean and so clear. It's like having the glass lens up on those things and you just start welding and you don't have to do anything, you know. So it's like from a glass lens to the thing without doing anything, and it's better than that, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's quite a change, and I want one. I really do. Alright, I'm going to finish sweeping up here and then get on with that stuff. Alrighty, so just give that a quick coat, heavy-ish coat I suppose, not super heavy, but just gave it a quick coat. So it's that done. I might give it another one later. So we'll carry on with this other tray now that I've had to finish my rough sweep up. Rough sweep up, I'll keep that a bit better in a minute. I gave it a bit of a sweep up down here and just a quick straighten up. Really, it's all I've pretty much done. Just get rid of some of the clutter out from underneath the feet and just sort a few tools out and just so I'm not fighting myself. I haven't really blown down the bench or anything when I've finished that box. I'll have a bit better of a clean up when I put tools and stuff away, but I still need these at the moment, so that's why I haven't gone too mad. But yeah, just had a clean up, and I've just picked up all the discs I've been using. Actually, I need to remember to go get some more flappy wheels, because these ones here are all about buggered. You can get them down to a certain degree, but yeah, that's about the only half decent one I've got left, and it's through. I almost need to, well, I need to cut that one back on the bench grinder. That's really the only one that's really any good. That one's probably not too bad. I could probably use it a little bit longer, and that one I could probably cut back and get a wee bit more out of it. But they're right at that point where they're not much good anymore. Oh, no, I've saw that one. Yeah, that's the good one. And it's one of these ones I probably could cut back. So yeah, I'll probably throw these ones away, I think. Not much good for anything. throw that one away too. I was actually thinking of making a little adapter to use those as for like a little ear saw, like a little adapter that I can use them maybe. I used to have one of those little ear saws years ago. Oh, there's some other ones, small ones too. Sort of kept them when they get a bit small. Because I've always been meaning to make up a little adapter I can put on my die grinder or a slightly bigger die grinder that I can use for like a little ear saw in shitty places. It's not so easy to get something like that in. I've been thinking about doing that at some point. So yeah, that's about the only thing I really need at the moment. I could possibly get a few more cutting discs. I haven't been using mini lately, so it's not so bad. But I definitely need some more flappy wheels. Definitely need some more flappy wheels. Righty, so I got all that wound up just before lunch. So I'm going to run around that now with a flappy wheel and give it a bloody good clean up. I grabbed a couple of flappy wheels while I was out at lunch. So I got 3 more fresh ones there, plus the couple of, well, just a decent one, and a couple others that are okay at a pinch. So I can knock the edges back so I can get a wee bit more off them at some other point if I need them. But yeah, so I'll give that a clean up, and then we will, I guess I'll just double check, make sure it still fits properly. Haven't got any like clearance issues now that this is a little bit bigger, because it's gained 2 or 3 mil around. It's got wider. So yeah, we'll just make sure that fits properly, give it a clean, yeah, and then we'll hit it with a couple of coats of texture coat, and yeah, that'll probably be it for that for today. I think by the time I clean it up and put a couple of coats of texture coat on it, and I should be able to carry on with something else, I think. So we get on, trim up, a little bit of trim up and whatever. But yeah, we'll give it a clean up and yeah, do a test fit. Alrighty, so I actually almost forgot to frickin' test fit it. I cleaned it up, and I've started it etching the inside of it, and I thought I'd better just double check and test fit it. Fits in there quite good. It's a little bit tight front and back. It's sitting up a little bit, but I think with this has a little bit of a bend in, it'll probably fit a little better. It's just sitting up a little bit at the back, as you can see. But I think, yeah, probably if I just work something out, I'll just have to give it, just tweak that back that way, I think, a little bit. Just with the extra material, it's a little tight, but it's probably not going to matter. By the time the seat and everything sits down on top of it, it'll help push it all down anyway. But yeah, no, it fits pretty well, really. Just needs just a wee tweak across the back there, and give her a coat of texture coat and whatever. I've only etched out the inside. Okay, as I cleaned it up, I was etching that, and I was like, oh shit, I better test fit it. So yeah, that's cool. At least it does fit, and it's not going to take much to give that a wee tweak. So I'll do that now, and just do a recheck, and then yeah, I'll finish etching it. Righty, so I've got a coat on here. Now I've got one container left. I used what was left from doing that one, and all the other bits that I've done with it. So I got one of those things left, that rubber undercoat stuff, rubberized undercoat, 3M. So I've got one left. So yeah, there'll be plenty to do what I need to do anyway with this, and then maybe the odd bit underneath somewhere else, or whatever. So I just use what was left in it, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side when it's dry, obviously, which will probably be tomorrow now, because it's, I think it's about 3, 4 o'clock or somewhere around about there. So it's just about done, I guess. So yeah, I've just been pottering around, mucking around doing that. Let that edge dry. I just had to sit down and had a break for a few minutes and let that dry off, and then I flick that on. So yeah, it seems to fit okay. It's still a little tight. I might just sand the edges a little bit just to give it a wee bit more relief. Just feather it off a little bit before I do fit it in there finally. So yeah, cool. But that's cool. Just trying to think what I will touch on next. Just trying to see where I'm heading. Trying to decide whether I clean that brace, that thing that goes around the front of that, and get that on there. What do I just quite do next? I've got that toe board, the firewall board to finish. But I almost need to go get, haven't had a chance to organise screws and stuff for that, which I need to do. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'll have to see what the time is. I don't know if I'll start anything. I might just have another wee tidy up, have another blow down and a sweep up, and come back and attack it fresh in the morning. But yeah, it's basically done. It's going to look like that on the inside. I just haven't quite got there yet. It's still just edge on the inside. So you sort of had a half by reasonable coat, just whatever was left in that thing. I'd open it, but I might wait to open it in the morning and then do the inside, and then let that go off, and then maybe later on in the afternoon just give it another quick blow across the bottom. But apart from that, I think we're about done for the day. But I'll check the times to have a wee nosy, and then we just might have another wee blow down around the benches and another week, just a wee clean up. And yeah, probably I might do the board for that, back of that tomorrow. But also I might want to make some shelves to put these battery chargers and stuff on. I want to make a little couple of tapered shelves that I can put between the joists, or whatever you want to call it, to put those on, just and have them sitting there like that, so you can just come along and just clip a battery in. So just get this crap off the bench. So down there I'm going to make one for here and one down there to sit these on. Whether I make them, I think I might make them slightly sloped and just have like a little lip on the front. But yeah, I'm not too panicked, but I might make them tomorrow in the morning or something like that, before I get rid of that big board out of the road, what's left of it. So it'll just be the full width, and about as deep as what that is, just so we can put the batteries on there and whatever. You could probably, or I could just have them flat, I don't know. Just so you can these are up out of the road, and I'll just poke a couple of holes in there to or drill a decent hole in there so you can drop a plug through. So that you can keep the wires sort of up there as well. Just have the plug plugged in. If you're wondering what our plugs look like that. The American plug does actually close to fit. Because my phone charger, this one here, which was one of my old ones, was actually straight. You can see it's been a US type charger, and it's just twisted. I just twisted the things around they put in. Because I'm pretty sure the US one is like straight like that, and then it's got a round pin. Am I right, guys? I'm not sure. I think the UK one's round pins with a slot in it, and I think the US one's straight pins but with a round prong. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I've picked up from looking over the years, whereas both New Zealand and Australia are like this, and we've all got switches because they're all 240, so we can turn them off and on. Alrighty guys, so thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe and hit that bell and whatever, and check out the friends list in the description down below. Heaps of guys on there, the channels I watch regularly and the guys that support me pretty regularly. I need to update it. I'm still working on a list for a shout out video, which I hope to do shortly when I get a chance to finish my list. Not always easy. I need to sit down actually at the computer and go through the people that I normally regularly watch and just jot down a few more. It's not so easy on the phone, whereas on the computer it's easy because it's on a nice big screen. You can pull that list up quite easy. But yeah, I need to sit down and do that so I can do a shout out video shortly, and I can do a decent one and get it pretty well prepared. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. It costs you nothing. If you so desire to support me, there's my PayPal, a Teespring store. I've still got the Buy Me a Coffee there as well, and I've got the Amazon wish list. If you so desire, have a look on there and maybe send me something. Be greatly appreciated. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. I actually have got the Yes Welder helmet on there, but the people that I've got on there that normally send it are out of stock, which is a real pain because I was going to order one for myself. I desperately want one. But anyway, we'll catch you later on. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.